Today I attended the AGM, the banquet afterwards, so I did only 2 panels this morning. One earlier, which is the Emerging Voice of Criminology, hosted by ACCCJ, the second panel. I enjoyed that one thoroughly, so I only was able to participate in this one partially. So I would say so far I only did one completely. I really enjoyed it.
I think the most interesting and impressive panel I have been to this year was our emergent voices from our student panelists. And all the topics are so interesting, the empirical evidence are so solid. I would really want to see more of our student members to shine at ASCs.
So all of the panels have been amazing. I've seen a lot of really great presentations. I've learned a lot about emerging research that's coming out. But I think one of my favorite panels was on terrorism and violent extremism. I saw a very interesting presentation by Jennifer Burial Carson on using AI in her research. So I thought that was a pretty innovative presentation.
I think I've been to quite a few very fascinating panels, and it's almost about psychophysiology, biopsychosocial things, and the antisocial panel was really interesting. And I just went to another one, which is about homicide and transnational studies, and they talk a lot about temperature and homicide rate, and how the gun violence contribute to the election result. That was fascinating, to be fair, and I quite enjoy all kinds of longitudinal studies. Yeah, sort of like that.
So I would say the most interesting panel is the one I just presented. I presented wartime and exposure and how that affected people's trust in government and criminal justice system. So the panel is on war and the general macro culture, macro structure and culture and crime-related outcomes. Okay, that's it.
I have always been thinking that international criminology or comparative studies across different cultures, societies will be the next major breakthrough in criminology. I think a lot of things we do is to test the Western theories in other culture, society. I truly believe that will be the next major breakthrough, something we need to work on collectively.
My research interest is on policing, and right now police wellness definitely needs more attention. I think especially in small and rural areas, which comprise the bulk of policing in the United States today. So it would be great if we could figure out how to have police officers use the resources they need to reduce their stress for wellness in their departments, and then I think that will trickle out into the communities they serve.
Sure. So, I mean, and this is why I felt that the panel that I was on, which I'll talk about in just a second, was really important, because it was capturing a lot of these really important emerging conversations. So it was actually called the Recent Trends in Policing and Punishment. And some of the things that were discussed were changes in mass incarceration that we've seen that have been very surprising. For example, we've seen a decarceration happening in the urban areas, right? As cities have passed policies that have really tried to reverse some of the trends of penalizing things, lowering sentences, allowing people to, through good behavior and educating themselves and things like that, to be released early, and then things that kind of change the law so that people are less likely to go to prison. There's diversion, things like that. So in a lot of these urban areas, diverse areas, we've actually seen a decarceration trend. But in a lot of the rural areas, the more conservative areas, the whiter areas, we've seen increases in mass incarceration. And so the question is, digging into more of why and what's going on there, and kind of diving deeper than these sort of top line numbers. There was another paper talking about the consequences of officers being disciplined, right? That we, have this conception that generally it's actually very hard for law enforcement officers to be disciplined to even prove misconduct, and then when they do, it's often this slap on the wrist. So Ben Grunwald, the colleague there, dug deep into a data set from Florida and actually saw that there were these pretty severe consequences, more than what we would imagine, for officers. And then another colleague, so that first one, that first paper was Jessica Symes from Boston University, and then the next was Ben Grunwald from Duke, and then Brendan Beck was the other colleague who presented on local government spending and really looking at what are the trade-offs, what is the return on investment when governments invest in social services versus policing, and so digging into some of those questions there, because yes, in the short term, more policing can improve safety outcomes, but as a society, you've got to make some really tough choices sometimes, trading off for education and housing, and healthcare and other things that might take 10 times as long to see those benefits, but you're dealing with very short election cycles and immediate politics.
I would say methodology trainings. So there are like emerging new methodologies, and I would say that that's the most needed training in the field.
I think currently it's a good trend that a lot of researchers have known or realized that new technology is something that we should adopt in our study. And I'm going to another roundtable talking about how to incorporate machine learning and also some other cutting-edge technologies when we try to detect crime and intervene crime or prevent crime like that. And I also think transnationality and also comparative study is really needed in this area, because we all know that all of the studies so far are still quite Eurocentric and American-centric, and the samples are basically in white male samples. That's not fair, and I think it's time for us to start a new trend that would take more attention on female and on ethnic minorities.
So from the past few years, we have the internal panels, but most of those are the members from our organization. We need to go out and reach to other subdivisions to invite them to come in and expand our influence. The second is that we need an exhibition table like Korean organization. Last year I was there and temporarily helped them for their table. So this year they were there. They are there as well, but I haven't seen ours. So we need to do that.
I think we are doing the right thing. We have the leadership forum. We have hosted all those different panels with scholars from different societies, from American Society of Criminology. We also attend different conferences, not only ASC, but also other conferences where we'll be able to reach out to other scholars from other countries, from other societies. I think those are all excellent things we need to continue working on and to improve our image and make connections with other societies. All right.